Hello and welcome to the Grueling Truth Big Ten Weekly inaugural episode. This is your host, Evan Witalison, and I am here to talk to you about the Big Ten each and every week for the duration of the Big Ten season. The Big Ten slate of games is a couple weeks into the year as the Big Ten teams have started playing their non-conference games, and a number of teams play their final non-conference game coming up this coming week before they move on to their Big Ten slate. For this show, as you know, we're going to talk this inaugural episode. I'm going to give you my predictions for the upcoming Big Ten season, who I believe will win the Big Ten, who I think will, if the Big Ten will represent the college football playoff or not, the Final Four, and also going to talk about the games that we've had so far and preview games coming up on Saturday, September 17th. You are welcome to follow me on Twitter at EvanWitSports. Again, that is at EvanWitSports. You are welcome to give me a follow, and I'll appreciate it. I will follow back, and I appreciate interacting with my listeners and my fans. So, again, at EvanWitSports. Before we dive into the Big Ten, a little bit about me. Again, as I said, I am Evan Witalison, and I am an avid sports fan. I am from just south of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, originally from Madison. I will put this out there so you all know right now. I am an avid, die-hard Wisconsin Badger fan, but I am also very impartial, and I'm just going to tell it how it is. I'm not going to let my Badger bias come out at all during this show. For the duration of the college football season. So I do want to thank Mike Goodpaster for giving me this opportunity to talk Big Ten football for the next several weeks. A little bit more about myself. Aside from being an avid sports fan, I work in the social service industry, and I am a fitness coach as well. I've recently lost roughly 112 pounds since January of 2012. Since March of this year, I've lost about 70 of those pounds. And I've done it through hard work, proper nutrition, and just support from family, friends, and other coaches that are on the same mission. I am a fitness coach through Beachbody, and I love talking to people about what Beachbody has to offer. They have a lot of programs that you can do in the comfort of your own home, ranging from 10 minutes long to an hour. The program I'm doing right now is 30 minutes long. Program done in the past, 22-minute hardcore, just 22 minutes long. So the programs are short, straight to the point. So if you're one that does not like going to the gym, or you'd rather work out at home, Beachbody can be for you. And there's one simple thing you got to do to figure it out. Just shoot me an email, CoachEvan66@gmail.com, CoachEvan66@gmail.com. Shoot me an email and let's talk. I will talk to you about the workout programs I've done. We can talk about what I recommend. Talk to me about your fitness goals. Look, I once weighed 381 pounds. I'm now about 268. Okay? It took a lot of work. I know how difficult it is to lose weight. Okay? I know how difficult it is to be really heavy. But as I said, if you would like to get fit, if you would like to work on bettering yourself, all you got to do is shoot me an email. It's that simple. CoachEvan66@gmail.com, and we'll talk. Talking's free. That's all I'm saying. Let's just talk, and we can talk about the options that are out there and see what's right for you. Eddie Lacy is in the best shape he's been in quite a while after working with Tony Horton during the offseason, and I'm in the best shape of my life doing programs by Sean T. and Tony Horton as well. So enough about that, though. Jump into the slate of Big Ten games first. But I start with my Big Ten preview, my 2016 preview. So the obvious favorites for the Big Ten, East favorites, you have Ohio State, Michigan State, and Michigan for your top three. That's a given. After that, it's anyone's ball game. You got Penn State, you got Maryland, you got Indiana. Rutgers will very likely be bringing up the rear in the Big Ten East. But Penn State, Maryland, and Indiana, you can pretty much flop those in any order on 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3. It could easily come down to the final week of the Big Ten season between Ohio State and Michigan to determine who the Big Ten champion is and who is going to be representing the Big Ten East and the Big Ten Conference Championship game against the Big Ten West. Ohio State, very talented team all the way around. Probably one of the top teams in the country. They play Oklahoma coming up on Saturday. We're going to find out in a hurry where they rank against Oklahoma. I know Oklahoma had a disappointing loss against a very good Houston team earlier, but they're still a tough team. Michigan State, they lost a lot during the last offseason as well to the NFL. Same with Ohio State. They lost their starting quarterback, lost some weapons on defense, but they still bring back a very stout defense. And Michigan, is Michigan still a year away? Is this Michigan's year to dethrone Ohio State and take back the Big Ten? So I think in the East, I think Ohio State will end up winning the Big Ten East. I think they will. I think Michigan will finish second, and I think Michigan State will finish third. The Big Ten West is anybody's ball game. Big Ten West, quick rundown. You got Wisconsin, Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Northwestern, Illinois, and Purdue. To me, the favorite in the Big Ten West is Iowa. You look at Iowa's schedule. I'm going to scroll down in my computer quick. You look at Iowa's schedule, Big Ten slate. They got Rutgers, should be a win. Northwestern, should be a win. Minnesota, should be a win. Purdue, will be a win. Wisconsin, at home, toss-up. Penn State, should be a win. Michigan, likely loss. Illinois, a win. Nebraska, likely toss-up. So you got Nebraska, potentially Michigan, and Wisconsin as potential losses. That's where they're going to sit. Potentially 3 losses in the Big Ten slate. Look at Wisconsin. My Badgers. You got to open the Big Ten, Michigan State, Michigan, open date. Then you got Ohio State, Iowa, Nebraska. So you're on the road against Michigan State. Very tough place to play. I've been to a Badger game at East Lansing before. It's tough. Then you're at Michigan, another big house, another tough place to play. Then you have Ohio State at home. Then you travel to Iowa. Then you got Nebraska. Wisconsin could potentially start 0-5 in the Big Ten. They could. I know Wisconsin's got the defense to beat anybody. They proved that against LSU. They proved that against Akron. And they got pretty much a gimme game against Georgia State. But that first slate of 5 games in the Big Ten season, that could destroy Wisconsin's hopes at a Big Ten West title. That's why I lean towards Iowa to take the Big Ten West. So that's my prediction. Iowa takes the Big Ten West. Nebraska will finish second, just because you look at their schedule. They got Northwestern, should be a win. Illinois will be a win. Indiana will be a win. Purdue will be a win. Wisconsin could be a loss. Ohio State, likely loss. Minnesota win. Maryland win. Iowa win. So Nebraska could take the Big Ten as well. I tend to lean Iowa. I think it's going to come down to November 25th, Nebraska at Iowa, to determine who wins the Big Ten. But Iowa and Nebraska are my 2 favorites out of the West. Wisconsin just has too tough of a schedule to open things up. So I think the West, you're going to have Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Northwestern, Illinois, and Purdue. Northwestern's going to be a tough game. Northwestern is always a tough opponent for anybody for whatever reason. They're not very talented this year, but they just always tend to be a tough team. Bowl games, I think you got qualifying for bowl play. Indiana, I think, could qualify. Maryland is up in the air. Michigan will qualify. Michigan State will qualify. Ohio State will qualify. Penn State will be eligible. Rutgers and Illinois won't be. Iowa will be. Minnesota, I think, falls just a little short, but I think they have a shot. Nebraska will be. Northwestern won't be. Purdue won't be. Wisconsin will be. So I see potentially 8 teams coming out of the Big Ten being bowl eligible. So those are my predictions. 8 teams coming out of the Big Ten, bowl eligible. And it's going to be Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, Indiana, Maryland, and Rutgers. And then you got Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Northwestern, Illinois, and Purdue. That's my prediction going into the Big Ten season. However, we have a slate of games coming up on Saturday. Start off with New Mexico and Rutgers at 11 o'clock. Rutgers, not a good team whatsoever. I don't know how Rutgers is. I don't know how they fare in that game. As I said, they're not a good team. I think New Mexico will get the win over Rutgers. They're a team that has a lot to. They need a lot of rebuilding for that team before they can be contenders again, or be contenders in the Big Ten, I should say. Temple, Penn State, second slate of Big Ten action going on. 11 a.m. kickoff at Penn State. Penn State should get the victory over Temple. If I'm a betting man, I predict Penn State to run away with that one. North Dakota State at number 13, Iowa. For those that are expecting an Iowa blowout victory, don't. That's not going to be a blowout. I'm going to tell you that much right now. It will be a much closer game than it needs to be. North Dakota State, very talented team. Very talented team. Don't let the fact that they're Division I AA, or whatever they're calling themselves these days, don't let that fact fool you. They're a tough team. They will give Iowa everything Iowa can handle. Iowa will get the win, but I think North Dakota State keeps the game close going into the fourth quarter before Iowa pulls away a little bit. The final 11 o'clock game, you got Georgia State at Wisconsin. Wisconsin should win this one quite easily. I do not expect Corey Clement to play. I think they rest him. He did get dinged up a little bit against Akron, but I expect him to rest Corey Clement for this one. But Wisconsin will run away easily in their final tune-up game before their Big Ten season opens. So if I'm a betting man, pick Wisconsin. You got Oregon at Nebraska, 22nd ranked Oregon at Nebraska. This game to me is a toss-up. It's hard to say who's going to win. Oregon's playing really good football at the moment, ranked 22nd. Nebraska, pretty decent team. You got Mike Riley, who knows how to beat Oregon during his time at Oregon State. It's at Nebraska. It's all going to fall on Tommy Armstrong. Oregon's defense is not very good at all, and it's going to fall on Tommy Armstrong. Can Tommy Armstrong be efficient enough with the football to compete with Oregon's high-scoring offense? Oregon's averaged 48.5 points per game this season, but they're giving up an average of 27 points and 390 yards to UC Davis and Virginia. Nebraska will have to score points to keep up. And the question, as I said, is can Tommy Armstrong do enough with the football to keep the chains moving and put Michigan on the board? That's going to be the question. Can they? And I don't know. Right now, I lean Oregon. Just because I don't know if I don't trust Tommy Armstrong. I'm sorry. I just don't trust Tommy Armstrong. So I think Oregon gets the win at Lincoln, Nebraska. The first 2:30 kickoffs for Big Ten action. Then you got Colorado at number 4, Michigan at 2:30. And I remember quite well, I think it was 1996, Colorado, maybe it was 95, Colorado versus Michigan. Michigan's got the lead. Fourth quarter, final play of the game, Colorado needs a Hail Mary from Cordell Stewart to Michael Westbrook to get the victory. And guess what? It happened. Cordell Stewart finds Michael Westbrook 70-some-odd yard pass for the game-winning touchdown for Michigan. For Colorado to get the victory over Michigan. However, Michigan will get the victory. Pick Michigan. Michigan is a team that is playing extremely good football right now. They're doing what they need to do to win, and they're playing damn good football. Michigan should run away with this game quite easily. Colorado playing much better than they have in the past several years. They blew out Colorado State and Idaho State. but Michigan should be able to dominate this game, and they should be able to run the ball really well. If I'm a betting man, Michigan covers the spread. I just don't see how Colorado can stay in the game. Western Michigan at Illinois, 3 p.m. kickoff. I think Western Michigan gets a very tight, close win over Illinois. Illinois, not very good. They're playing much better under Lovie Smith than they have in several years, but they're just not a good football team, and I think Western Michigan squeaks by with the victory. 6 p.m. game, Maryland at University of Central Florida. Maryland, I picked Maryland in this one to get the W. I think Maryland pulls off the win. Then you got 6:30, Michigan State at Notre Dame. The rivalry continues, I should say restarts, between Michigan State and the Fighting Irish. And you look at that matchup. On paper, Notre Dame, they bounced back to a very nice W following the heartbreaking loss in against Texas to open the year. You got Michigan State that looked very sloppy in their 28-13 win over FSC Foreman. I think Notre Dame gets the win. Michigan State falls. It's going to be a very tough football, a very close football game, but I think Notre Dame squeaks by at the end. Then you got number 3 Ohio State and number 14 Oklahoma at 6:30 on Fox. I think Ohio State gets the W. It's going to be the first big test for Ohio State and their young defense. But I think Ohio State gets the W. I think their offense is just too much for Oklahoma. And Ohio State gets the W. And then Duke and Northwestern. Duke gets the W. Northwestern not playing very good football right now. I like the coach in Northwestern. They're just not playing good football at the moment. They're just a bad football team. And I think Northwestern loses and Duke gets the win. So, one more time. New Mexico gets the win. Penn State gets the win. Iowa gets the win. Wisconsin gets the win. Oregon gets the win. Michigan gets the win. Western Michigan, Maryland, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Duke. That's who I would pick if you are making predictions coming up for Saturday, September 17th in the college football slate of games coming up. My game of the week is Ohio State and Oklahoma, but it should just be a great football game. So, once again, before I let you all go, I want to personally thank Coach Mike Goodpaster for allowing me to be part of the Grueling Truth and allowing me to do the Grueling Truth Big Ten Weekly Show. We'll be doing this show every week. Follow me on Twitter at Evan Witt Sports. Give me a follow. I do follow back, and if you have any comments or concerns about anything that I had to say, shoot me a tweet, and I will gladly get back to you. So, with that said, I want to thank you all for listening to the Grueling Truth Big Ten Weekly inaugural episode. I hope you all enjoyed the show, and I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend and week. And this is Evan Witalison telling you all that I will get to you next week. Thank you so much for listening.